Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. General Hospital spoilers. Runaway Violet causes chaos chase and Brooklyn panic over Finn's missing daughter. General Hospital, GH, spoilers reveal that Violet Finn's jovial love behavior is about to take a disturbing turn. Harrison Chase, Josh Swickard, and Brooklyn Quartermain, Amanda Seton, have been doing their best to take care of Violet while they wait for Hamilton Finn, Michael Easton, to get out of rehab, but things are about to get tougher. That's because Violet will begin to display some troubling warning signs. Violet will behave in ways that unsettle Brooklyn and Chase, so what exactly will she do? There's no word yet on how Violet might act out, but it's possible she'll have a total meltdown over Finn's release, not happening fast enough. If Finn's release date gets pushed back, Violet may lose it and destroy her room at the Quartermain mansion. Of course, there's another option that would certainly concern Chase and Brooklyn. It's possible that Violet will decide to run away and try to meet up with Finn. Perhaps Violet will decide that if Finn can't come to her, she'll just go to him. It's easy to imagine Violet packing a bag and sneaking out of the Q-Manse undetected. Chase and Brooklyn will eventually go looking for Violet, but there may be no sign of her anywhere on the property. It could leave Brooklyn and Chase in panic mode as they fret over where Violet might have gone. This could be a wake-up call for Chase and Brooklyn about parenthood and whether they're really ready to have a child of their own. It could put some fear in Brooklyn and Chase as they carry out a frantic search. Chase and Brooklyn may feel like Finn would never forgive them if they lost Violet and let something terrible happen to her. Violet could get injured or even abducted if she indeed becomes a runaway, so those may be concerns that flood through Brooklyn and Chase's minds. Of course, Violet will inevitably be found sooner or later if GH writers take this route, but it could still bring some scary moments in the meantime. General Hospital spoilers say Violet will definitely leave Chase and Brooklyn uneasy in the October 4 episode, so we'll bring you more predictions on her ordeal and updates on any shocking news that'll follow. In a heart-stopping turn of events on General Hospital, little Violet Finn has gone missing, and chaos sweeps through Port Charles. The carefree, adventurous young girl, who's known for her spirited nature, seems to have vanished into thin air, leaving her father Hamilton Finn and his brother, Harrison Chase, panicked beyond belief. As the minutes stretch into hours, tension mounts, and it becomes clear that Violet's disappearance could have far more sinister undertones than anyone first realized. It all starts on what should have been an ordinary day. Finn, ever the devoted father, had been juggling his time between his demanding job at General Hospital and his responsibilities as a single dad. Violet had begged to spend the day with her beloved Uncle Chase and Brooklyn, who she adored as much as a second mother. The trio had planned a quiet day, but the situation takes a dark twist when Violet suddenly goes missing from the park they were visiting. Brooklyn, who had been keeping a close eye on the playful girl, turns her head for only a moment to take a call from the hospital. When she glances back, Violet is gone. Her heart drops into her stomach as she scans the park, desperately hoping Violet is just hiding behind a tree or playing a game. But after shouting her name and receiving no response, she knows something is terribly wrong. Panicked, Brooklyn calls Chase, who had briefly stepped away to grab some ice cream for Violet. He sprints back to the park, his face pale with fear when he sees the frantic look on Brooklyn's face. They search together, calling Violet's name, asking passersby if they've seen a little girl matching her description. But no one seems to have seen Violet leave the park. It's as if she's disappeared without a trace. Meanwhile, back at the hospital, Finn is in the middle of a meeting when he receives the call that every parent dreads. Chase's voice is tight with worry as he explains that Violet is missing, and they can't find her anywhere. Finn's heart stops. His mind races with every possible worst-case scenario. Without a word, he bolts out of the hospital, leaving his colleagues in confusion, rushing to join the search for his daughter. As the minutes tick by and there's still no sign of Violet, the police are called. Officers spread out across the park and the surrounding areas, combing every inch for any sign of the young girl. Chase, still wearing his uniform, takes the lead on the case, but the weight of responsibility and fear for his niece makes it difficult for him to focus. Brooklyn, on the other hand, can barely hold herself together. She blames herself for being distracted, for taking that phone call when she should have been watching Violet more closely. While Chase tries to maintain a professional front, inside he's battling waves of guilt. His mind flashes back to earlier that morning, when Violet had asked him if they could explore the woods near the park. He had told her no, thinking it was too dangerous, but now he wonders if she had wandered off in that direction anyway. He sends a group of officers to search the woods, but as the hours drag on, they come back with nothing. Meanwhile, Finn is in a state of pure desperation. He rushes from one officer to another, begging for updates, but there are none. He can't stop picturing his little girl, out there somewhere, scared and alone. Worse, he can't help but fear that someone might have taken her. The thought makes his blood run cold. As night falls, the search becomes even more frantic. Brooklyn is barely holding it together, her hands shaking as she tries to call every family member and friend, hoping someone might have heard from Violet. But no one has. The normally bustling park has turned into a scene of quiet dread as officers continue their search under the beam of flashlights. Elsewhere in Port Charles, news of Violet's disappearance begins to spread. Word reaches Anna Devane, who is out of town on a WSB mission, and she immediately drops everything to return, her heart breaking at the thought of Finn going through such a nightmare. Valentin Cassadine, who has a soft spot for the little girl, offers all the resources he can muster, including hiring a private investigator to assist with the search. As the hours stretch on, a new theory begins to emerge. What if Violet didn't wander off? What if someone took her? Chase and Brooklyn rack their brains, thinking about anyone who might have a grudge against Finn or the family. Finn's involvement in several medical investigations and his turbulent relationships flash through their minds. Could someone from his past be using Violet to get back at him? The police, now operating on the assumption that this might be an abduction, widen their search. Meanwhile, Finn is on the verge of losing hope. His mind is filled with all the things he wishes he had done differently. The times he had worked late instead of spending extra moments with Violet. The times he had been too tired to take her on that extra walk or read one more bedtime story. The thought of never seeing her again is unbearable. Brooklyn, too, is sinking under the weight of guilt. She confides in Chase that she fears Violet's disappearance could push Finn away from her forever. Though their relationship has always been complex, Brooklyn has grown to love Violet as if she were her own daughter, and the idea of Finn blaming her for this fills her with dread. But just as hope seems lost, a clue emerges. A woman at a nearby cafe remembers seeing a little girl matching Violet's description with a man she didn't recognize. She had thought nothing of it at the time, assuming it was just a father and daughter. But now she's not so sure. The man had seemed nervous, fidgeting with his code and avoiding eye contact with other patrons. With this new lead, the police refocus their efforts, and Chase's determination hardens. He won't rest until his niece is found. Finn, though still terrified, clings to this new thread of hope. If someone took Violet, then they might still have a chance to bring her home. As dawn approaches, the search intensifies, and it's clear that the next few hours will be critical. Everyone in Port Charles is holding their breath, praying for Violet's safe return. But as the situation unfolds, it becomes clear that whoever took Violet might have their own agenda, one that could drag Finn into a dangerous web of secrets and lies.